December 22, 2000. America's largest outboard manufacturer files for Chapter 11. 7,000 workers gone. $200 million in warranty claims piling up. And while that empire crumbled, Yamaha had already beaten U.S. emission standards by 6 years, and Mercury was quietly having 85% of its small outboards built in Japan. The mass exodus to Japanese outboards did not begin in 2026. It began right here. John Morris walked into OMC's headquarters that December facing a tidal wave no American Marine CEO had seen before. The bankruptcy filing wasn't just a corporate event, it was a full-scale unraveling. 7,000 jobs vanished in a matter of weeks. Entire towns built around OMC's plants left reeling. For decades, Evinrude and Johnson Outboards had symbolized American boating muscle. Now their parent company was hemorrhaging cash, unable to keep up with a warranty claims avalanche that spiked to over $200 million in less than half a year. Court records show OMC's reserves were set for normal years, maybe $70 million in claims. But after the rushed launch of a direct injection engine plagued by fuel pump failures and cylinder wear, that number tripled almost overnight. Dealers, desperate to clear inventory, shipped out unproven engines. Service departments scrambled for parts and training, while angry owners flooded forums with complaints about breakdowns and costly repairs. The company's operating cash was devoured by warranty payouts, burning through more than 30% of available funds in a single quarter. Creditors closed in, demanding repayment OMC couldn't provide. By the time the Chapter 11 paperwork hit the Northern District of Illinois, OMC had lost a quarter of its U.S. market share. What's left in the bankruptcy docket isn't just a list of debts, it's a record of shattered trust. The layoffs cut deep, not only wiping out skilled labor, but gutting the engineering backbone that once set the pace for American marine innovation. Overnight, the idea that a U.S. badge guaranteed reliability was gone. The collapse wasn't a fluke. It was a warning. When cost-cutting and shortcuts replace discipline and testing, the fallout is measured in lost jobs, broken engines, and a market suddenly open to anyone who could prove they could do better. In the late 1990s, while American outboard makers scrambled to meet looming emission standards, Yamaha's engineering team was already years ahead. At the heart of this lead stood Jun Kobayashi, a methodical innovator known inside Yamaha for his relentless approach to field testing and regulatory foresight. In 1996, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency announced its Tier 3 outboard emissions rules, setting a tough new ceiling for nitrogen oxides and hydrocarbons, but giving manufacturers until 2004 to comply. Most saw the 8-year window as breathing room. Kobayashi's team saw an opportunity to outpace the field. By 1998, Yamaha had a 165 horsepower 4-stroke on the water that didn't just meet the future standard, it came in 6% under the EPA's Tier 3 limit. Internal test data, later cited in industry white papers, confirmed that the engine's emissions profile was already cleaner than what the law would require 6 years down the line. This wasn't a marketing exercise. It was the result of a decade-long push for mechanical precision. With every cylinder, fuel rail, and catalytic converter tuned for real-world reliability rather than brochure numbers, Kobayashi's team logged thousands of hours in saltwater, tracking not just emissions, but corrosion rates, fuel efficiency, and maintenance intervals. While American rivals were still fielding carbureted 2-strokes and lobbying for deadline extensions, Yamaha's disciplined approach meant their engines were already certified for the next regulatory era. Dealers who switched to Yamaha early found themselves selling outboards that ran cleaner, broke down less, and cost less to operate. The EPA compliance gap wasn't just a technical detail, it became a decisive advantage on showroom floors and in the resale market. Kobayashi's early victory set the tone for a generation. Engineering discipline, not advertising, would define who led the marine engine race. Mercury's reputation as an American icon rests on decades of branding, but the real story behind its smaller four-stroke engines tells a different tale. In 2001, Mercury struck a quiet deal with Tohatsu, one of Japan's oldest outboard makers, to source nearly all sub-30 horsepower four-stroke models directly from Hamamatsu. The contract, negotiated under then Chief Operating Officer James Gordon, was never advertised to dealers or customers. Instead, Mercury's catalog kept the familiar black cowling and American flag decals, while the engines themselves arrived by container ship, built to Japanese specifications, and tested under Tohatsu's own quality standards. By 2025, industry analysts estimate that 85% of Mercury's four-stroke engines under 30 horsepower are Japanese-built. Serial number registries and parts diagrams confirm that the same engine blocks, gear cases, and fuel systems used by Tohatsu appear in Mercury's low-horsepower lineup, right down to the casting marks. For years, the company's marketing emphasized American engineering, but warranty claims and field reports told another story. Dealers who serviced both brands noticed the unmistakable similarities in construction and reliability, often swapping parts between Mercury and Tohatsu units during repairs. This quiet pivot was not just about filling a gap in Mercury's product line. It reflected a pragmatic choice. American manufacturing struggled to meet new emission standards and the demand for trouble-free, low-maintenance engines in the entry-level market. Gordon's decision to outsource was driven by the need to stay competitive, as Japanese reliability became the industry benchmark. The result was a brand that looked American but ran on Japanese discipline, a fact that became clear whenever owners compared service records or resale values. The so-called all-American outboard had, in practice, already crossed the Pacific. Offshore fuel logs tell a story that glossy ads can't. On a typical charter run, Yamaha's F300 burns 12.5 gallons per hour at cruise, while the Mercury equivalent posts 13.4. Over a season, 200 hours on the water, that gap adds up to nearly $1,800 in fuel savings at dockside prices. For working captains, that's not a rounding error. It's the difference between a profitable season and a lean one. Captain Luis Ramos keeps meticulous records. His charter logs, audited by 2 independent surveyors, show the same pattern year after year. 8 Yamaha-powered boats in his Gulf fleet each surpassed 2,000 hours before requiring a major overhaul. The best Mercury in the same service window needed full top-end work at just 1,100 hours. Ramos isn't alone. Across Florida and Texas, fleet operators report a similar split. Japanese outboards last longer, run cleaner, and cost less to keep fueled and on the water. The numbers aren't theoretical. Every fill-up, every hour logged, every dollar saved is documented in black and white. For captains who live by the ledger, the verdict is clear. Efficiency and longevity aren't just technical specs. They're the foundation of a business that survives season after season. Corrosion is the silent killer of marine engines, especially in saltwater. Yamaha's answer was the Saltwater Series 2 coating, a ceramic polymer hybrid layered over critical engine parts. Independent lab tests in Florida tracked outboards running 2,000 hours in high salinity water. The results? Corrosion penetration was cut by 30% compared to standard nickel phosphorus coatings. That's not just a lab metric. In the field, service records from Gulf Coast guides show a 45% drop in major corrosion-related repairs on Series 2 equipped engines. The improvement isn't limited to the coatings. Yamaha's VMAX SHO line, updated for 2025, uses an enhanced alloy blend for the gear case and a new 5-layer paint process that resists pitting even after years in brackish bays. These upgrades mean more original horsepower retained, fewer lost days to repairs, and a real extension of service life, often adding 2 to 3 years before a major overhaul is needed. This isn't a one-time fix. It's a pattern of steady investment in durability, year after year, that keeps the gap widening. Yamaha's next-generation push isn't just about refining gasoline engines. It's about rewriting the rules of marine propulsion. In January 2025, Yamaha finalized a $120 million deal to acquire Torqeedo, the German electric pioneer. The result? Harmo, a modular electric rim drive system boasting 95% efficiency and a quiet, near-maintenance-free profile. Early Boat Trader data show over 1,800 pre-orders for Harmo-equipped boats, with buyers citing not just the technology, but the confidence that comes from Japanese engineering discipline. Mina Lee, now leading the integration team at Torqeedo Yamaha, describes the approach as future-proofing the water. Meanwhile, Yamaha's hydrogen-powered prototype, first revealed at SEMA 2024, is set for sea trials this year. The spec sheet lists a 150 horsepower output and 0 tailpipe emissions, signaling a leap past regulatory minimums. This isn't just a showpiece. It's a clear statement that Japanese brands are investing where the market is headed, not where it's been. Resale numbers reinforce the momentum. In the 2025 used boat market, Yamaha-powered vessels retained 78% of their original value after a decade, compared to 62% for Mercury. Owners point to lower maintenance costs, longer service intervals, and a sense that their investment will hold up even as propulsion technology changes. For serious boaters, the shift feels less like a trend and more like a point of no return. Trust on the water isn't won by marketing, it's earned by decades of proven reliability, lower running costs, and long-term value. As Japanese outboards lead in real-world durability and next-gen technology, the choice is clear. In 2026, performance, not nostalgia, sets the course. What's your move? Share below.